Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Ndindi Nyoro held government at ransom over the state of debt risk in our country. And after Mbadi was dispatched in parliament, he confronted Ndindi. But later on, a phone call from State House and a delegation of MPs were dispatched to Ndindi Nyoro, so as the president makes another unsuccessful attempt to summon Ndindi Nyoro at State House, with the report saying that the president wanted to fly to China and he wanted Nyoro to be part of that delegation. So the final verdict is that Ndindi Nyoro declined that State House summon. And of course, after then, things have not gone right. So in this podcast, we are looking at the Nyoro threat, why the president wants to close ranks with Ndindi Nyoro. Kindly subscribe to our channel. But we are still shooting in Embu, and we are finishing the Embu project. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been here, and for this month of April, we were supporting this mother of five who had children had problems, na mguu, and of course eye problems. So when my team arrived here yesterday, we took these children to the hospital, and that is the photo you are seeing there. And also, we also wanted the mother to go through AFP so that would actually control birth. So that is what we did yesterday. But as we said, the house is already there. They're just finishing. But there was a problem. There are some few things that were remaining. One of them was the toilet that had not been done. And we were also looking for an economic activity that she can do. Something that will help Virginia get some income. And we settled on kuku, poultry. So that is what we want to do for her. And to establish that poultry, we need to at least just ring fence the house kidogo and put up a structure and buy for her cuckoos. That is what we are going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to make sure tumemwekea hiyo fence na tumebuy hizo kuku and the toilet can be done. Just a makeshift structure, just a simple structure. We are looking at a budget of 100,000, and I want to say thank you. Since yesterday we did this mention, I already have 24,300. So the deficit of what I'm remaining in is around 75,700. As of this morning, I'm shooting this video at 7:30 a.m. Sunday morning. So I think let's do 100 bob challenge. If we can do 100 bob challenge by tomorrow, we should be able to at least put up the fence na tumbaye hizo. So what will remain maybe sasa will be the makeshift the toilet that can be done even on Tuesday or later. But kindly let's support this at least 100 tukipata tukijaza. I believe that by Monday morning, I should be out of this place. Monday afternoon, I should be out of this place after all that is done. Cuckoos, we're just going to buy around. We're looking around 20. We build the structure where the cuckoos are going to stay and ring fence the place because we need to. If that place is not fenced, then that business cannot be there. Watu wata hizo kuku zitakuwa zinatembea nje. But it's an improvement.
This is where they stay. This is their bed. The mother, mama, au watoto wanalala wapi?
Kwa nani?
Hapa kwa neighbor. Na nyinyi mnalala huko na mzee sasa. Yeah. So you can see the situation, and that is our mission for this month. We want to help mzee. So nataka tu uambie kwamba wewe unaitwa nani? Na naomba sana uweze kupata nyumba utashukuru. Sema tu jina yako, kuna mtoto unataka na ungeomba sana uje upate.
Mimi naitwa Virginia Murugi. Ningetaka kusaidiwa na nyumba juu ya watoto.
Kienyeji. So this is something she can do because from there she'll be selling the eggs na akiuza mayai ataweza kusaidia watoto wake. So kindly we are finishing this Embu project. Kindly support this, and I believe that God is going to bless us. And thank you very much for those who actually reached out. The president made a phone call to Ndindi Nyoro while Nyoro was still in parliament buildings. And after that call, according to reports, it was followed by a dispatch of the MPs, Sabina Chege, Betty Wamaina, and Mary Wamaua. These are the new president's allies in Muranga. And this was after the three MPs actually met the president in State House early. They met the president in State House early in the week. And the president tasked them to make sure that they talk back Ndindi Nyoro to government. Remember, Nyoro had spoken last time in an interview, and he said that he last spoke to the president last year in October. So that was actually opening a Pandora box, that there was a fallout. Now, after he was removed as the budget committee, something went to parliament. There was a motion that was sneaked to parliament by Kimani Ichung'wah and some team saying that when Nyoro was budget committee, he redirected resources to his constituency, and that is why he was doing well with the CDF money compared to other MPs. And this came out as a blatant lie. What happened in the Ndindi Nyoro case is just the right utilization of the CDF money. So the president did not feel comfortable by Nyoro taking the edge, taking government head-on on the issue of debts. And this clash did not work well, did not go well with the State House team. A host of MPs supporting the broad-based government from Kikuyu, Kalenjin axis had even been called to make a joint press briefing to counter Ndindi Nyoro, and the narrative would be that the Kiharu member of parliament is actually targeting the new broad-based cabinet secretaries. And that is why, according to them, the messaging was supposed to be framed like he is attacking Mbadi docket, because of course that docket was taken from them.
You talk about in jubilation of having been able to pay the Eurobond of 2014. And it comes out as headline as a jubilation for the country. Now this is the reality. The reality is that you retire a debt of 6.8% with a debt of 10.3%. And then you clap and you want the whole country to be closed for people to celebrate. I'm provoking all of us here. I mean, Kenya is for all of us, and we need to speak these things as clearly as they ought. You cannot go and take a loan from Shylock, you pay a bank, and then you go home, and people should celebrate you for taking a loan with an interest of 20% to pay the one you had that you are paying 12%. Those are the things that will catch up with this country very soon. And by the way, with all honesty, if we do not become more prudent in the several months to come, we are likely to have a very big problem with our debt. Why? If in our revenue collection, over 40% is going into interest rate alone of debt obligations, what are we talking about? The other thing I want us to reflect on around debt, and the reason why this, and I'm challenging even those who are responsible in government to speak about it clearly, because part of this communication is important. You collect revenues of around 2.4 trillion shillings. You use over 1.2 trillion in paying interest rates of debt incurred. So that's 50% that you can do nothing about. Basically what we are doing as a country, the money we are borrowing in terms of PFM Act, you should be borrowing for development alone. But even by doing the math even with a pencil, if we take our revenue collection, you remove CFS, You remove salaries, you're already in red. It means the money we borrow, some of it is for budget support, and clearly that money is for recurrent.
Something that then, before that invite was dispatched, State House operatives cancelled that press briefing and told them to go slow on it. When he left Parliament, he told the team that was sent that he had a meeting, he had a class that he wanted to attend, and he could not miss that class. That after which he would respond. So he was driven off from Parliament to head as if he was heading to the University of Nairobi, but went direct to Murang'a and never took the State House summons. And now it's coming clearly that he actually declined the meeting to meet the president in State House. Government, and the irony in it all is government being afraid of tax protests. Even after Ndini Nyoro raised his voice on the issue of taxation, there was a pushed finance bill. They rushed to edit finance bill to slash the tax proposals that were there and replace them with a higher borrowing targets. This is what Nyoro had even raised concern about. Now, as we talk now, there are only two ways of raising money for government. The one is the ordinary tax and the CFS. There are the deductions that are made on behalf of government, that government receives from other sources. And then there is the borrowing. So the balance sheet is between the ordinary tax and what is borrowed. So what the president did, and I think they just realized that in any attempt to increase taxation, and this is something that even Nyoro had said, that increasing the tax rates does not really translate to a higher tax revenue, because people tend to withdraw. He prepares and says, oh, you want tax, you increase tax in this, so if it is car, he stops buying that car. If it is something he consumes, he stops making that consumption. Then it even denies government an opportunity to grab that tax. So the president wanted to fly with Ndini Nyoro to China. That is one of the targets on it. And I appreciate that one of the things why this is here is that the president is going to negotiate deals. And in China, one of the people flying with the president to China is Raila Odinga. That has been lined. And of course, Raila, the feel-good president, the feel-good leader, will not turn down that. He will go to China, because those are the sustainers of broad-based, when you're in China, per diem, VIP treatment, flying, sharing a car with the president, those are kind of things that are there. So the president, if you will get the opportunity to fly with Ndini Nyoro to China, then three quick objectives are going to be achieved. Number one, they will ensure they get a photo session where Ndini Nyoro, the president, and Raila Odinga, and some other leaders, probably even Mbadi is there, they will get a joint photo. And that joint photo would come clearly to, of course, change the narrative and show the way Ndini Nyoro is supporting the broad-based. In fact, one of the things that would actually mean the word go is that the president is mending fence with Ndini Nyoro, and he would want an opportunity to have a sit down with Nyoro, which probably is not in the country, and the flight to China, the trip to China. Remember, he will be in China for 8 days, and some of us are waiting to look at the kind of delegation that is going to be in China, so that we interrogate and find out whether I think he should be going to China from Monday or Tuesday next week, tomorrow or Tuesday. From that, what kind of delegation is going to take to China? Now, the other thing, the China trip is also an opportunity to you know, get some, is a conduit to get some money to bribe people here and there. Sometimes one of the tools that State House uses to doing MPs, and of course to show the way MPs are, they are close to MPs and they don't know mentorship, is these trips. Because from these trips, you get parliamentary allowance, per diem from parliament, then from president's kitty. There is a big State House budget. If the president is going to be in China for 8 days, there is a big budget for the State House. And that will be it. And the other objective will be that from a China deal, from the China, they will probably negotiate for one road construction in Mount Kenya here. And after constructing that, then the newspaper story are crafted to show that, you know what, Ndindi Nyoro spoke about, went with the president, and through him, they were able to secure a road here and there. Those are kind of quick notes in it. But apart from that, Nyoro is a very big target for the president because the president is looking at his profile. Number one, Ruto is getting wary of Nyoro because of Matenya arrival. I've seen some analysis that how about if between now and 2027 so many dynamics are there, how about if a force emerges between Matiang'i and Nyoro? How about, you don't know how about if such emerges? Remember, Ndindi Nyoro and Babu Owino have formed a political party. And even though they have declined to go public, highly to publicize the party, but of course it's in public that they have a deal. There is a party that they've formed. Now, the other issue is putting Nyoro the China trip could be to dangle a deal. And what do I mean by to dangle a deal? When you have Nyoro with you there in China, you'll simply tell him that we are going to construct road X or road Y, and probably tell him we are going to give you this tender, we're going to give you that tender. These are some of the things that normally are available. Remember, the president knows very well that himself, even though he denies, but himself, through the broad-based agreement, he was at the table to negotiate for Ndindi Nyoro to be removed as the budget chair, so that they could sacrifice that budget chair to go to Sam Atandi. And through that, they would recruit a man who present a president worship team for the president. Now, the other issue here is Ruto wants to suppress the anti-broad-based campaign. When you are raising debt questions, you are seen as a man against the broad-based. And in this context, there is something that people have been saying, that why is it that when people are in government, they can't talk, but when they're out there talking? What this shows you is, what this shows according to me is, as much as we want to listen and believe on those who are government telling you things are right, you should actually understand that the truth will only be known when they are there. But when they are holding those positions, whatever they say is not a true state of affairs. They say they stay it because it is convenient at the time. But when you're out, it is more easy and you're free to say the truth. That's why you see when people are walking out, Malala is walking out, is now saying the truth. And Ndindi Nyoro is out, is now telling the truth about the state of the budget. Remember, he was defending government viciously while he was the budget committee chair. You can look at Muturi, you can look at Regadi. So this Mbai, the guy from Peter Mbai, the guy who was used to work in State House from Nakuru. So these are factors that are there. Now, that suppressing broad-based is a big issue. The other issue, the other threat is Nyoro was serving as a budget committee. So when he speaks about the state of economy, there is a higher believability. Kenyans are likely to believe what he is saying. And that is what William Ruto wants to suppress, because people believe what Nyoro is saying. When Nyoro is talking about it, and if you look at his packaging, he's so intentional about his packaging. He's packaging it in a manner that you might differ with him, but he means it and puts it in a way that you can believe. And the other issue is a serious Mount Kenya walkout. Mount Kenya is becoming very complex, and I've seen Ruto meeting Betty Maina, Sabina, and the rest to try to bring Nyoro back to the fold. And these MPs cannot. They have tried to pull this, but I think this has been one of the most difficult one, especially even for them to do. So ladies and gentlemen, that may take is what is at play. Thank you. Kindly support us so that we can finish this Embu project. Tomorrow we would want to put the fence na to make sure kwamba tumembaia hizo kuku na tujenge hiyo structure ya kuku so that I think and I believe we shall have made an impact in her life. Thank you.